The Falcons' early season Week 5 bye is actually a blessing, not a curse, to keep their season on track.
You are Locked On Falcons, your daily Atlanta Falcons podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back, everyone, to another illustrious episode of the Locked On Falcons podcast, your daily Atlanta Falcons podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And today's episode is brought to you by Mazda. Like our players, we sweat every detail because when you make every move count, pulling off the unexpected is only the beginning. Stay tuned later for highlights in this week's Moving the Game Forward. Mazda, move and be moved. Now, if you don't know me, I'm your humble host, Aaron Freeman, a.k.a. Mr. A.K.A., and I'm joined today by Jarvis Davis of Locked On Sports Atlanta, and we will be talking all about what the Falcons need to work on during this bye week. Is having this early bye a blessing, as some people described it towards the end of the summer, versus is it more of a curse, as some people looked at it back when the schedule was first announced back in May? And then, because the Falcons are off this Sunday, so will Jarvis Davis and myself be off, and we'll get into the sort of what we're going to be up to this weekend, and would love to hear from all of you that are everydayers of this podcast in the comments here on YouTube or elsewhere. And of course, if you're an everydayer, that means you make this podcast your first listen each and every day. And all you got to do to become an everydayer is subscribe and follow for free on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. So, Jarvis, let's talk about the Falcons heading into this bye week, coming out of the bye week. Always a big, important part of the NFL schedule where teams can look back and assess and figure some things out. And I think the Falcons got an early jump on their bye week, making some moves last week with some, coaching adjustments, some schematic adjustments on offense and elsewhere that seem to be the sort of classic moves that you would make during a bye week and come out better for it. And they obviously came out better for it against the Washington Commanders with an impressive win. But when you look ahead, do you feel like the Falcons need to make any major adjustments? And if they do, what are those that they need to make moving forward during this bye week?
I don't think they need to make any major adjustment. I think that it's going to be the little things that's going to help them be more consistent. We talked about this on the Falcon Squad show as far as how the offense needs to be a little bit more consistent. But I think the main thing is just from a schematic standpoint on the offensive side of the football, I think we all understand that 7 is the foundation of this offense. And if he's going, if they're getting him to turn around and handing the ball off to him, if they're lining him up out in the slot and getting him one-on-one matchup with linebackers and safeties, I mean, this offense is doing exactly what it needs to do. And then I think the second part of that is just from we talk about pecking order, it has to be Drake London, right? Because Drake is a mismatch. Like we saw with 5 and 7 getting the rock. Like this offense moves. You put up 34 points. So and I think that we need to eventually get that average up a little bit, because the Falcons are averaging 19 points now. And in order to be in the top 10, you got to probably get like 26. So my average is right there. If you're in the top 10 of scoring, man, in this league, that's a fair expectation for this offense, given all of the assets that's on that side of the football, all the money that's been invested on that side of the football. So for me, it's nothing major. It's always being cognizant of who you have on your offense, who needs to get the rock first, and how can we build off that on a play-by-play basis.
Yeah, I think that's great points, Jarvis. It felt like Washington, you got to see kind of 3 out of their top 4 playmakers all get featured in that game, with Bijan Robinson, Drake London, and Kyle Pitts. I think if they can get Darnell Mooney incorporated into the offense coming out of the bye week and have a big 4, I think that's going to be sort of their key to success of being able to get the consistently high level offensive play that I think we're all sort of expecting and wanting to see from this team this upcoming season. And so I think they're on the path to doing that. It's going to be a challenge coming out of the bye against Buffalo, which is going to potentially be the toughest matchup for this team. And obviously, we will be certainly discussing that much more in depth next week here on Locked On Falcons. But I want to continue today's conversation talking about the timing of the bye week, where, as we said at the top, I think when the schedule dropped, a lot of people looked at this early week 4 bye as like, oh, that's the worst, that's one of the worst times. It's the earliest time you can have a bye, as opposed to the sort of typical mid-season bye or late season bye. But then I think some injuries hit during the summer, and that led to, I think, people's flipping the script on that notion and being like, hey, that early season bye may be beneficial for the Falcons because they'll have some guys that can get healthy, coming out of that bye. And so I kind of want to pick your brain on, Jarvis, on how do you feel about the timing of this bye week as we continue today's Locked On Falcons. This episode is brought to you by Square, your favorite neighborhood spots run on Square. There are certain businesses that truly make the neighborhood feel like home, whether it's the local sports bar packed on game days, the coffee shop that knows your order by heart, or the corner deli that's been serving your community for decades. These are the places that bring people together. When neighborhood businesses thrive, the whole neighborhood thrives. Square is a proud partner of more than 4 million neighborhood businesses around the world. And if you want to find more about these businesses, you can go to square.com/go/LockedOnNFL to learn more. But before you do, go support your favorite neighborhood spot. You'll be happy that you did. Square, see you in the neighborhood. This episode is also brought to you by Mazda, who are moving the game forward. For those who believe it's not just about playing the game, it's about redefining it. There are moments that do more than put points on the board. They move crowds, they move culture, and they keep moving the game forward. This week's movement that moved the game forward was Bijan Robinson's 69 nice yard catch and run. And I know everybody in the Mercedes-Benz Stadium was moving, and we saw Bijan moving the game forward to set up this high-flying Falcons offense this past Sunday. And when you follow what moves you, the unexpected is only the beginning. And just like there's more to every highlight, there's more to a Mazda vehicle. Mazda, move and be moved. So continuing here with Jarvis Davis of Locked On Sports Atlanta, talking about the timing of the Falcons bye week now in week 5, coming off week 4. Is it a blessing? Is it a curse? How do you kind of feel about it, Jarvis? Because again, as I said, it seemed like in May, everybody was like, this is a curse. And then I think with some of the injuries with potential guys like Storm Norton, Braylon Trice, and Taquan Graham going on IR during the summer, and now you have guys like AJ Terrell coming back due to an early season injury. Some other guys that have missed time, Darnell Mooney, getting off to a slower start than expected because of the injury that caused him to miss, pretty much in the entirety of training camp. Do you feel the same way as other people feel, which is this bye week timing is actually a good thing for this Falcons team?
Absolutely, because of the guys you just mentioned, because Darnell Mooney and Michael Penix Jr. had some good chemistry last year, and then unfortunately, like he had an injury last year, and he wasn't able to participate in that Carolina matchup and potentially go over 1,000 yards. Imagine that concept. Oh, the Falcons had 2,000-yard wide receivers, even when Kurt was stinking it up for 6 or 7 games straight. And then, you have a rookie quarterback coming into the fold as well. So I think that, Darnell Mooney getting that extra week, even when he was dealing with a soft tissue injury, hamstring, in the game against the Commanders. So that's definitely a blessing. A perfect timing. Also, you talk about AJ Terrell, him getting the extra week. He was out 2 games. You survived Carolina. You didn't really see D'Alford, getting worked a little bit. But, Debo was matched up on 20, and Debo won those matchups. So he was able to get the forced fumble and everything. That would have been great to recover. But when you think about overall, like a guy of Deebo Samuel's caliber is probably going to take advantage of the offer. So when you bring AJ Terrell back into the fold, especially going up against Josh, Superman himself, he's going to put the ball where it needs to be. And you need guys like AJ Terrell, and you need the offer going back into his role as a reserve and a rotational guy if need be. That's the type of depth that you want to have in a game like that, because we understand that the Bills are going to come here and put up points. That's point blank period. And then on the other side of that, you get Darnell Mooney another week of rest, get him back situated. Hopefully he can come back and play for you. Then you go on into Mercedes-Benz Stadium against that 30-plus, pretty much guaranteed 30-plus points that offense, Josh Allen offense is coming in with. Then you could be able to combat that. And then you just hope that your defense is able to make more plays than the Bills make on the defense side of the football. And I think that given how the Bills defense has played, that's not a bad bet in my book, based off what I've seen from that defense the first 4 games of the season.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see, how the Falcons, deal with the Bills. As I said, we'll get more into details, into the nitty gritty of that matchup. But I do think, as we touched upon on the Falcon Squad show on Thursday, AJ Terrell's presence on the defense is going to be instrumental, I think, in giving this defense a chance to keep a lid on that Bills offense, next Monday or 2 Mondays from now. So
weird.
the Monday after next. So we'll see on that front end. I'm curious, Jarvis, is there any part of you that's concerned about, the Falcons are going to have to play 13 straight games? They haven't had the best injury luck through the first month of the season. Is there any worry about, maybe attrition hitting this team? Obviously, again, we don't know what's going to happen. And obviously we'll have to cross that bridge if and when we get to it. But given the Falcons have been maybe a little bit more nicked up this first month of this season than they have been traditionally in recent memory. And now they're facing a potential 13 game straight, without really any break other than that, 3 days of rest after the Thursday night game that they have in, I think, mid-December or whatever, when they face the Bucs. Is there any worry that, yes, we look at it, the current state of the Falcons, this early bye gives them some ability to get back healthy for the near future for the month of October, but are we going to be sitting there, man, come December, oh man, that early bye really kind of screwed us over? So I'm just curious, what are your thoughts on that?
I think overall this roster has some good depth, right? Based off the guys that are scheduled to come back, Braden Trice, Taquan Graham, and Storm Norton. It's just, if they were to get excuse me, if they were to get an injury in a certain area, I'd be highly concerned. For example, in that interior offensive line, if someone was to get hurt right there, I'll be very concerned. Because if Ryan Newsom not playing, tell me Javon Glenn gonna go in there and give him some snaps. And we had plenty of conversations in those preseason games about him.
Javon Glenn.
Find some wood, knock on. Yeah. So if you're talking about an interior of the offensive line, I'd be very much concerned. So hopefully those guys can stay healthy. Hopefully Chris can stay healthy, and Matt Bergeron, who normally is pretty healthy. So. But outside of that, though, I feel like, with AJ Terrell being down, we weren't crying about AJ Terrell coming back. We were like, man, it'd be good to have AJ Terrell out there. And that's all you really ask for in the NFL, because when you have a guy that caliber go down, there's going to be a drop-off. You just hope they're not going to be that big of a drop-off. So I think overall this team has enough depth to kind of deal with that because of the guys they have coming back. Somebody gets hurt in the edge spot. Oh, okay. All right. JBJ, you're going to have to play more. You know, if Leonard Floyd goes down, JBJ got to play more. Jalen Walker got to play more. You know, we got to get more snaps out of you guys. So, on FK, where are you? We need you. 17. We need you to play a little bit more. We need you to get, start making an impact on the game. So, but yeah, for me, I feel like they have good depth. It's just that if anyone in that interior offensive line gets hurt, and I feel bad saying this because I feel like the more I say it, the more it may come to fruition. But, if they don't get anybody hurt in that area, I think they'll be fine.
Okay. Yeah, man, you ruined my weekend, Jarvis, by mentioning Javon Graham.
Hey, man, I'm just saying, like, I don't – here's the thing, man. I don't want to put you in a bad mood. That is never my goal coming on your show because I like coming on your show. I love, we're family, you know what I mean? Locked on Sports Atlanta, Locked on Falcons, you know what I'm saying? There's a bond here that I cherish and I value, you know what I mean? So I don't want to put you in that headspace. I was just saying, you asked me a question, just saying, man, everywhere pretty good. Even at quarterback. Hey, man, Kurt has to come in, you know what I'm saying? Shoot. All right, he's healthy. Okay, yeah, okay. For a couple games, not we don't want too much of Kurt, you know what I'm saying? But wide receiver, yeah, we've seen it. They've had to deal with it, they're working through it. But guard to guard, hitting. You want Hinton? You want to see Hinton?
Yeah, I know what you said. I was just like, I hadn't thought about Javon Gwynn since the final cuts, and it was just like, oh God, I forgot all about that.
Oh, I forgot how bad that.
Okay. Shout out to Javon Gwynn. I hope he's good, but
look,
I don't want to see you play football this year for the Atlanta Falcons. Is basically what I'm at.
Probably would have broke a couple arms to get his career. You know what I'm saying? At this point, you know what I mean? Like, come on, practice squad, making that bread. Shoot, let's go, bro.
Yeah. So, all right. So that being said, let's try to get some positive vibes back here on the pod to wrap things up, and we'll talk about a little bit about what Jarvis and I are going to be getting up to during this bye week, free weekend, stress free. What are we various Falcons podcasters here on the Locked On side of things going to be getting into with this free weekend. And so that's what we'll talk about as we wrap up today's Locked On Falcons.
I'm Cody Rourke from Locked On Broncos, and this episode is brought to you by Peloton. Peloton is shaping the future of fitness with the brand new Peloton cross-training Tread Plus powered by Peloton IQ. This is Peloton's most advanced equipment yet, giving you real-time guidance and endless ways to move, whether you're running, lifting, or you're cross-training with your favorite instructors like Alex Toussaint. It's training reimagined to make your workout more personal. Peloton is built for breakthroughs with features that help you plan, stay motivated, and hit peak performance. You can let yourself run, lift, flex, and go while Peloton handles all the rest. Plus, Peloton IQ provides real-time strength coaching, tracking your progress and suggesting weights that challenge you so you can get stronger. Plus, the new movement tracking camera, it counts your reps and corrects your form in real time, making sure every rep is safer and smarter. So let yourself run, lift, flex, push, and go. Explore the new Peloton cross-training Tread Plus at onepeloton.com.
And guys, these days, anyone can advertise and claim they'll handle your injury case, but some aren't even real lawyers, just out-of-state companies trying to cash in. Others promise lower fees, but leave you with lower settlements. That's why I call John Foy and Associates at John Foy and Associates. They have a proven track record of getting Georgia clients real results for more than 25 years. They don't just settle, they win. And the best part, you pay absolutely nothing until John Foy wins your case. No upfront costs. So don't try to fight the insurance companies alone. Call John Foy and Associates today at 404-400-4000. That's 404-400-4000, or visit johnfoy.com today to get started. They don't just settle, they win. Get the strong arm. Call attorney John Foy and Associates today. So, Jarvis, wrapping up today's Locked On Falcons. I know when this early bye happened on the schedule, I was sort of circling this weekend as like, oh, I could take a little mini vacation or something. I could go to the beach for the weekend or something like that just to get away. And then it kind of snuck up on me. And I'm like, oh, I didn't make any plans. So I might just have a staycation. I don't know. I'll have to figure out something to do on a Saturday or Sunday night this weekend, just to get away for a minute, take my mind away for the Atlanta Falcons before ultimately still having to get right back into this thing come Monday and whatnot. But I'm curious, do you have any plans, with this time? Is this the time that, you can catch up on some, work around the house, spend some quality time with the wife and kids that you may not normally get when, you're dealing with the Falcons every Sunday? What are your plans now that you have a quote unquote free weekend?
Free. I think my honey-do list is starting to pile up. I got a couple things I got to check in on. I got an anniversary coming up, so I'm trying to make some plans for that, and kind of had to switch some things up just a little bit. Given the economy, stuff happens. You know what I'm saying, around these parts, but yeah, man, I think for the most part, for me, it's going to be kind of getting out on a Saturday. Maybe do a little something. Go to church early. I don't have to go to church as early as possible. You know what I'm saying? So I can get in and get back home and do what I need to do. So yeah, man, it's gonna be real light, man. We're taking it easy for the most part. So, I love my babies too, man. So I got to figure out, go take them out for some ice cream or something. Keep it simple, man. I live a simple life, Aaron. I know you may think that I live this lavish lifestyle and I'm driving Lamborghinis around and, cheating on my wife and stuff, man. I ain't doing. I know you be looking at me sometime, bro. I really feel like you think I be living this wild lifestyle, but I don't, man. I don't. I live a clean life, man. You know what I'm saying? Good guy. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Oh, look, Jarvis, I don't think that about you currently. Jarvis,
wait a minute.
That I judge is the 22-year-old Jarvis, the 25-year-old Jarvis, and that's not because of anything I say. That's all stuff that you have decided to divulge on these podcasts, typically in the third segment of these shows that we do weekly. And that's you. That's not me. That's not a me issue. You have talked about, various things that we won't get into on today's episode because we don't want people to have that perception of you, Jarvis. It's clearly you've turned your life around, but that's man. Where if I'm judging you, it's not 2025 Jarvis. It's 2005 Jarvis is the person I'm judging.
Yeah, 2005 Jarvis was a different person. I will tell you that. 2005 Jarvis has a lot of stories.
Yes.
I have a lot of stories from back in the day. So, man, I mean, I look at it like this, Free. We just talk. It's just you and I here. Ain't nobody else listening, right? You know what I'm saying?
Nobody else. Literally nobody else.
Like, that's how you know God is real. You know what I'm saying? Because I've turned my life around, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm on a straight and narrow, baby. Like, I get excitement talking about the Falcons, going to games and stuff like that, covering the games. I ain't talking about what I'm doing later on that night. You know what I'm saying? What spots I'm going to. I ain't worried about all that, man. You know what I'm saying? I'll leave that for you single guys. I know you're going to tear it up. That's what I really want to hear. I want to hear what Aaron is doing on Saturday night since he ain't got to work Sunday. You know what I'm saying? Like, what is Aaron planning for his get out night? Matter of fact, I'm charging you to go out. Like, you have to go out. You have to go out Saturday night.
Okay.
Figure out a spot to go to and go out. That's
not a problem, but I'm not going to tell you what I'm doing, Jarvis. I want you to stay out of my personal business. That's basically
wait. Hold up, dog. How you want me to come on here to be open, honest, and authentic, and you can't even tell me what you got going on? I'm telling you, it's just you and I. I looked at your numbers, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's just you and I talking right now.
Oh, this is why I wanted to have this conversation with you, Sheriff. Just ridiculousness.
Yes, ridiculousness.
Oh man.
Good luck, Andrew, my friend.
Yeah.
Come on, man. Give me one thing. Give me one thing that you're gonna do on Saturday. One thing.
I might go out to a venue.
Okay.
That many a lovely lady likes to frequent.
Okay.
See what's going on with them. Talk to them.
What's the spot? What's the go-to spot on a Saturday night in your world?
I mean, I'm here in downtown Durham.
Okay.
Right. And so North Carolina, for those of you that don't know, is not quite the same as, hanging out in certain parts of Atlanta on a Saturday night.
Yeah.
So
I know that hasn't changed that much since I've been out. Yeah.
So there's a couple of spots. I'll have to, part of me kind of wants to go to a new spot, so I can't give you like the go-to spot right now because because I'm like, hey, stuff's going on. Let's see what's on and popping at this place. I haven't had the chance to go to this place, so I can't give you. I'm basically vamping Jarvis because I can't give you a specific place that I'm planning on going this Saturday night. So I have to kind of figure that out. But I do plan on doing some stuff this weekend, definitely.
Man, you said a whole lot of nothing just now.
I cover the Atlanta Falcons, baby. I learned from Terry Fontenot and Raheem Morris.
I want to. You did your best Terry Fontenot impersonation just now.
Yeah, yes.
Because you can ask Terry a question, and that man can go on for about a solid minute straight. It'll sound good. It'll be like the diction. He speaks so well. Terry's a good dude. But he ain't said jack. Like, bro, you ain't said nothing, dog. Like, I might as well not even ask the question. It sounded good. I appreciate you. You ain't tell me nothing, man.
I told you. Mind your business, Jarvis.
Man, one of these days, man, we're gonna have a sit down, man. Mm-hmm. Maybe it can be some everydayer, insider type content type stuff, man. Like, I'm gonna interview you. You know what I'm saying? And I want you to just want to be able to bare your soul to the people, man, because people need to hear about Aaron and what he likes to do for fun. True enough, he has a good time talking about the Falcons, but sometimes people want to know, giving people a peek into behind the scenes, man. You know what I'm saying?
Sure. Yes. So, maybe we can get into all of that on the Falcon Squad this Monday or next week. Where in North Carolina was Aaron Freeman, this past weekend and whatnot. Yes. So that may be something that we can explore on a future episode and when we want to completely derail the conversation, as is.
Because we know you always do that. Like that's your specialty.
Mm-hmm.
You're good at that.
No one else on
no one else.
Not the other person sharing half the screen with me is well known for that. That's a me thing. That's definitely me. Never.
Those of you listening on audio, there is someone else on the screen, not me.
we had a silent third person the entire time. That's who I'm talking about. Yes, for the audio listeners. Okay, well, there you guys have it. Before this thing completely derails, we're on one track right now.
Yes.
Shout out to Xavier Watts and Bijan Robinson for their award-winning first opening month of the season.
Ooh, this just popped in my head. Or what would it take for Bijan Robinson to be in a conversation for MVP? What would it take?
I mean, what was the stat that people were posting like a week ago about he's on pace for
yardage?
Like 2,500 yards or something like that, which would be like a record or something like that.
Alvin Kamara was like the barometer, and that hadn't happened since 2000. I can't remember the year. It was some time ago. It was a while ago. I can't remember, but yeah.
I think he would have to break the record for most scrimmage yards, just because MVP is a quarterback award.
Sure.
And like you can only like especially if you're a running back, like you only can get in that conversation if you rush for 2,000 yards, right? Like Saquon did, and I'm forgetting whoever else did it a couple of years ago. I'm not expecting Bijan to rush for 2,000 yards. I'd love to be wrong about it.
Yeah, I'll
But,
say that.
I think it would have to be whatever the record is for yardage. It would be 2,600 or whatever that number is. And then probably like 20 touchdowns or something close to that. Like to me, have to have like a historically great season where we sit there and we go, when one of those graphics comes on the screen and they're like the 3 greatest running back seasons of all time, and then like Bijan's face is up there, like that has to be the conversation to really have like a legit shot at MVP. Now, when it comes to offensive player of the year, we've seen running backs get that. We've seen Christian McCaffrey and Todd Gurley and Saquon and all these guys. Like that's really what Bijan is really gunning for. But to especially nowadays, to have like a real argument other than just like, oh, here's 2 votes for MVP from D-Led and some other random MVP voter or whatever, to be like, you're going to be having Mina Kimes and Robert Mays and whoever else, the big wigs talking NFL at the end of the season. Like, I'm going to vote
Orlovsky.
Yeah.
I
don't want to mention Dan just because we were throwing shade at Dan last week, but
last week he kind of walked this stuff back a little bit too, though.
Yeah.
You he listens to the show.
Yeah,
definitely. So you have one listener. Dan.
Yeah. Just one listener. Okay. Anyway, okay. So that's going to do it for us here, guys. We've done enough. Yes. Hopefully we have entertained you on this bye week, since we don't have a lot of football to be talking about, but we will obviously be getting back to plenty of football discussion next week. So continue to make Locked On Falcons your first listen. Check us out on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. And in the meantime, if you're still looking for that football fix for this weekend's action, make sure you check out Locked On NFL. They have 2 shows daily getting you geared up for all of the Week 5 action across the NFL. It is all part of Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.